are. You can get online and I have found as a teacher actually that we can experience a kind of intimacy that people don't expect. And I know the kind of work that I do, which is very focused spiritually. And the topic today is particularly pointed around this issue of creating a sense of the divine and the spiritual in our presence. So that's the topic. But I'm just wondering, do you think there'll be any more? It's only 3 minutes late. That's 245. There's one other, 6. Hannah, I guess, kind of hangs around to kind of, take care of everything. But do you think there'll be more, ladies?
I don't know. We should get more than 8, right?
And Eva, I think you're pretty good to start, and any latecomers, I'll just be sure to let them in
You will.
while
Okay.
you're going. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Because
Thanks, Hannah.
So
my pleasure.
There's one. I did let that one in. Welcome. So hello, everybody. I've not met any of you, and I don't know whether we're going to connect in the future. And so please excuse me if I don't remember your name. I can look at your face, and actually your name should come up. So that will be very helpful. Hi, Laura. And somebody whose webinar events is that somebody?
Sorry, Hannah, probably.
Well, no, Hannah Goal is over here. Hannah, maybe she's handling.
Sometimes she takes
They're
over.
They're both me.
See, I was right. I was right.
You were right. Well, you've been around long enough to know this. So, well, I know the topic is women and women in Judaism. So I'm going to do something a little bigger and broader. I'm going to introduce you, first of all, to something that, and you can let me know if you've ever heard of something called the Mishkan. Is that familiar to anybody here?
Yeah. Yes.
Good.
I don't know a lot, but I have heard of it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about it because it is the basis and the root and the nucleus of something that we're going to talk about as well, which is Shekhinah. And because Shekhinah is feminine and the female indwelling of the Holy One, what a perfect thing to talk about, right? Because this is about the Jewish woman. And she sort of encapsulates all of us and each one individually. So I thought it might be a wonderful thing to do. So what I'm going to have to do, Hannah, and I'm just letting you know, I'm going to share, and I assume you'll just let them in. I don't know how you handle this, but I'm going to share a PowerPoint to begin with, and then some other information, because one of the things I've had to get very good at is making PowerPoints for my congregation. Since we're on Zoom, it's very helpful, for people to see things. So I'm going to share screen, and I'm going to ask you all to just mute while I'm doing the presentation, because any sounds in the background are going to get picked up. So Anne, would you mind muting?
You want to know about us a little bit, or what did you?
Well, sure, if you'd like to share. I don't know if I'll ever be back again, but I'm happy to hear a little bit about you. So Anne, do you want to start?
Well, I remember you from Temple Emmanuel.
Oh, is that why you look familiar?
I actually, I think you remember my daughter. I don't know if you remember my daughter, Cheryl Labe. You had a bunch of girls at your house, and she was one of them at your house. So that's how far back I remember you.
Wow. Wow. Just let me clarify for everybody. My husband is a rabbi as well, and he was the rabbi at Temple Emmanuel for 16 years. And
Yeah.
I was the Rebbitzin, and then I started to sing a little bit. So I got to do some music. But oh, Anne, that's amazing.
It brings back a lot of memories. My a grandmother, my daughter has children by now, but that's how long ago I remember you from.
Yeah, well,
you look terrific. You haven't changed. Really,
oh, thank you.
Hair has grown a little bit, but other than that, you haven't changed.
Oh, thank you so much. Hair color and makeup
Yes, it.
Thank goodness for that. That's all I can say. So the rest of you, do you want to just, I did hear from Merle and from Bonnie that they've been longtime members and still are, even though they're at a distance. Rebecca, how about you?
I was born in Los Angeles and left as soon as I possibly could. And my ticket out was go to college. And I lived in Santa Cruz for 47 years. And 3 years ago, I decided to come back to Los Angeles to be closer to family. I originally joined Santa Monica Synagogue because it's within walking distance from where I live. But they were going through some changes when I was there. Their longtime rabbi is now retired emeritus, and he wasn't around because he was on sabbatical. And we had a really lovely Rabbi Barry Letts as the interim, and then they continued on to a rabbi search, which is always a challenging process for any synagogue. I went through that with the synagogue in Santa Cruz. So when I first moved here, my aunt said I should join Wilshire because Wilshire's been in the family for years and years and years. My grandparents, my grandfather was a partner in a meat packing company and used to give meat to Camp S. Kramer. I was a Camp S. Kramer camper. My aunt and my mom were both Queen Esther's back in the 50s when they did that kind of thing. So I did. I joined Wilshire and I'm really, really happy. It's just a fabulous synagogue and the people are wonderful and I couldn't be happier. I can't speak more highly of it.
Yeah. Wow. You know, what little experience I have over the past couple of years doing the B'nai Mitzvah, I meet amazing, wonderful people. And the programming at your synagogue is just astounding. When I see the list of options, wow. Pamela, tell us a little. Oh, you have to unmute, yeah.
It always takes me a second.
Yeah.
Hi, some of you guys know me. I have been, well, I'm a member now. And in my 20s, when I first lived in Los Angeles, I was like a junior member or whatever, where they would not charge you very much money. And then I moved to New York, and then I came back, and so I've just been in and around. The only synagogue life I've had as an adult has been basically through Wilshire Boulevard.
Mm.
And then I've been with this group of wonderful women, I don't know, sometime in the middle of the pandemic, whenever we started this. So yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh, lived in Dallas. I don't know what else you want to know, but that's it. I work as a music lawyer, so sometimes these Wednesdays are hard to make work, but here I am. So,
Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. That sounds like interesting work.
it's
Helen.
exhausting sometimes.
Yeah. Helen, you're hidden, but did you want to say hello and tell
Hello,
me?
everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay, good. We joined Wilshire Boulevard Temple actually after starting Wilshire's first elementary school, Browerman.
Mm.
So I feel very attached to the Irmis campus where my kids went to school. That was my shul. So I don't often go to things elsewhere, although I have gone to Resnick recently for Yisker service. So I've been a member, I guess, close to 30 years. Wow.
Time flies, right?
Yeah.
Laura, you look familiar.
Oh, that would be surprising, but because I'm definitely the freshest. So I'm part of the Choosing Judaism class. So I'm in the process of conversion. And so we attend the various things that are happening with the temple, including this one. I am a software engineer, and my husband is Jewish, although they're not super practicing. But I'm really excited to be a part of this Torah study for the day. And yeah, thank you for having me. And I happen to be like, I have to keep my hands busy. So I needlepoint. So if you want to, that wondering what I'm doing. And I happen to be like needlepointing my challah cover. I know the background, sorry.
In the back.
Yeah, I'll just share a thing, but I'm needlepointing a challah cover as a part of like my like sort of practice I do it every like Shabbat for a few hours as part of like reflection. And now I'm just like really motivated to finish it. Yeah, thank you.
You'll find this interesting given what you're doing, what I'm going to talk about a little bit. And also maybe we'll see you in the adult B'nai Mitzvah program after you have finished the other program. There are a lot of people who do that once they've gone through the conversion process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Susan.
So I'm getting the gist of this. I'm sorry I came in a little late. What was the assignment? What was the?
Oh, just curious who you are. Somebody raised an important issue. I don't know you.
And our connection to Wilshire Boulevard. I'm a longtime member. Didn't start out here because I was raised in Pasadena. So that was my temple, Pasadena temple. But I went to Hess Kramer. And I became a counselor there, a senior and dance instructor, and I loved it. And I met my husband through that at Wilshire Boulevard Temple when Rabbi Wolf asked me to talk about how I communicated Judaism through dance. I was at UCLA then, and I didn't want to do that particularly, but others were talking about that. And one of my campers had a big brother, and the big brother was asked to come to the temple for Friday night and to hear and to be there for Oneg, and that's where I met my husband. We've been married for 60 years, so it's been a long time, and so Rabbi Wolf was the rabbi then, and I loved him, and he was at Hess Kramer also. So Rebecca, you mentioned Hess Kramer, that that was really the beginning of a life for me. And then we were temple members when Rabbi Fields took over, and he instituted he was determined to do a day school, Helen, and I volunteered to be on the committee that would propose it and help it along. So there were a lot of naysayers that believed also in how to be, they grew up in public education as I did, but they shouldn't have secular education. So I'm very pleased that came to pass. And then Rabbi Leader took it over, and I've been in women's Torah, starting with Karen Fox, who originated it years and years ago. So I loved the group, and then Rabbi Nanas took it over, and it has been a blessing for me. I love it. I love the people and learning. And Rabbi Cantor, I first met you when you came to an AJU class that Rabbi Goodman was teaching.
Oh, that's right.
And you talked about Kabbalah.
The Kabbalah class.
Yes, and it was very nice, memorable. So
great. Oh, wonderful. So we have Cindy, and then we'll jump right in. Do you want to come on, Cindy? You're behind the sunflowers. No? She's hiding behind the flowers. Well, just so you know a little bit about me, I do favor the spiritual and the mystical. It is an area that I truly do love. I became a rabbi in 2016. I became a cantor in 2004. And prior to that, I was an interior designer. And prior to that, I was a Jewish artist doing ceremonial art, the chuppahs, Torah covers, talit. So my life has been very centered around Judaism, and my husband and I were close behind. My husband and I have been married 51 years, and Judaism took on a whole new meaning for me with him. He was ordained in a Reform seminary, but his heart really was in a very different place, much more also very spiritual, very mystical, very Kabbalistic. And I'm also a child of Holocaust survivors, so I have this unusual history of coming out of darkness and working most of my life as a woman to bring light, to create light, to keep growing. And there is a beautiful statement in one of the Psalms from Shabbat that reminds us that it's never too late to grow, expand, and change. It basically says that it talks about being like the date palm, and that in old age, we will still bear fruit. I mean, to me, that's one of the most important statements in Judaism, because it lets everybody know you constantly are growing, you're constantly changing, you're constantly giving birth to new things, whether it's needlepoint, something musical, dance. And that's part of what the topic is today, because we're going to talk about the Mishkan. I want to introduce you to this unbelievable project, this sanctuary that traveled in the desert. And you will see how it funnels into the whole concept of Shekhinah, which most of you probably have heard the word, because Shekhinah is the female indwelling of the Holy One. Anything divinely present in physicality is female. So Rabbi Susan thought, what a perfect topic for me to share with you. So it's not about a personality. I know you've been talking probably about a lot of Jewish personalities that are female. This is bigger. This is broader. This is more all-encompassing. And what I want to do is share a PowerPoint. My thesis for the rabbinate was on the Mishkan, and I then turned it into a paperback book, which I use when I teach at the seminary. I can tell you about it if you're interested, but in the meantime, what I want you to see are some visuals, and I am going to share it. Let's make sure we're in the right place. Got to get in the right place. And I'm going to move it up a little bit because I'm going to close you guys out. It's just easier so you can really see these visuals. So I want to begin with Mishkan because even the word Mishkan has the same letters as the word for Shekhinah. They all have a similar meaning, which I'll get to in a minute. But this is a beautiful artistic rendition of what the Mishkan might have looked like. It's a portable tent because everything was taken apart and then put back together as they traveled, right, from Sinai to the new land. And everybody knew about it. Everyone could see it, men, women, children. And these tents that you see on the sides are actually the tribes. The 12 tribes surrounded this Mishkan, and as it moved, they moved around it. So there would be 3 on each side. And this is what we would call the open, visible area. This is the hidden area. So one of the principles in Kabbalah and mysticism is that there are things that are revealed and there are things that are hidden. And this Mishkan, which was the first project that the slaves who left Egypt took on, and I have very firm beliefs why that was important. I mean, we just had Passover. You're all aware, right, of the story of these people who were enslaved for little over 400 years. And then they're liberated. And they're taken by Moses to Mount Sinai. And they lived, obviously, a very horrific, traumatic life. It was colorless. It was painful. It was, for generations, people had suffered. And so they carried a lot of what I call PTSD, right? These people who left Egypt, went to Sinai, had a lot of PTSD. And so they come to Sinai because they're there to meet God. This is going to be the big, big meeting. And the thing about the meeting is that I call it a really bad first date. This doesn't really show, I have other pictures, and I wanted to limit them, but it was fire and lightning. It was loud. It was really horrific for these people who had a slave mentality and surrounded this mountain with fire and lightning and shofar. And in the text, it tells us that the people were so terrified, they said to Moses, you go up to God. You go get those tablets. You go talk to God, because if we talk to God, we're going to die. And that's what it says in the Torah. They actually thought they were going to die. So it was a very traumatic experience. So Moses does go up. He does get the tablets. And something happens while he's gone, because he's there for 40 days. The people become a little bit insecure. And they're convinced that this terrifying God probably killed Moses. That's all they, that's what they assume. So they ask his brother Aaron, we need a God that we can relate to, maybe the one that we saw in Egypt. And so they create that golden calf that you all know the story of. And God sees what's happening and says to Moses, you better get down there, because these people are offending me and they are doing evil things. So Moses does go down. He, as you know, he breaks the tablet. He's so angry, and God has written on them, and he threatens them, and some of them are punished. But then he realizes he's got to get another set of tablets. So he goes up and he gets a new set. This time he has to carve it, and God doesn't. But in the meantime, one of the things that I believe God understands is that he was too much, too powerful, and there had to be another way that God and the people could meet, a more human way of meeting. This happens to be one of my favorite images of the Mishkan. I actually have a poster. And it's a beautiful, colorful rendition of the private hidden space, the open space where the people were welcome to come, and then all this activity all the way around, because remember, they're building community. They're going to be creating a covenant with God, but they have to build community too, and they have to heal. And my feeling is that God knew and understood that they needed a project that would bring them together and would help heal the horrific trauma and bring God closer to them and them closer to God, which is why we had the system of the sacrificial rite. People would bring their animals. You can see them. They're bringing them. They're killed here. And then the high priest would bring them up and do the cooking on the barbecue. And this incredible aroma would go towards the heavens. They call it Neach Rihoach. And it was a way to appease God, to talk to God, to get close to God. So you have this whole new system that's happening in this place, which God calls the Mishkan, which basically means a dwelling place. Shekhinah has the same letters in her name, and because she represents a dwelling place as well. So this is a dwelling place on earth where God could be felt and the people would feel safe and close to God. And there were other things that were in this space. This is called a laver. Let me get where's my little arrow? This is a laver. It was actually made of mirrors that the women had, which was an honor that they had something being used actually as part of this Mishkan. And it was filled with water. And the high priest would have to wash his hands and his feet before he could go into where this holy space. Keep losing my, where are you? Into this holy space. And if you look really closely, you're going to see a menorah, which was in the holy space. There was a table, a bread table on the right here. And then there was a smaller version of this where they would have spices and scents that would be burnt. And in the very back area, which was even the Holy of Holies. So this is the holy space. But when you get back here, it's the Holy of Holies. And that's where the ark was. So what I'm trying to introduce you to is this idea that one of the earliest things that's introduced in the Torah is this place where God and the people could meet. And it was to create a sense of Mishkan. Mishkan is a place, and that's what this is. But Mishkan is also something we create together. It is a feeling. It is a community. It has lots of different meanings. So this is a powerful picture of movement and transformation and light and heat. And if you can read this, I'll read it for you. The purpose of the tabernacle is to signal that the principal presence of God was to be on earth. That is so important to understand because God is both male and female in our tradition. The feminine part of God is on earth. It is here. It is with us all the time. And the tabernacle was a way to make that happen. And that is to be amongst the Jewish people, as is clear from the words V'shechina te betocham. There's, you hear the word Shechina. It's right in the Hebrew here. Shechina te betocham. The dwelling amongst them. I shall take up residence amongst them. So Shekhinah means to dwell, to reside. The operative word in this line, according to this author, was bitocham. I'm focusing on Shekhinah, but the idea, bitocham means within you, which ought to be translated as within them. So we're talking about all of us or this group of people within the hearts and the minds of the Israelites, as opposed to God's presence being confined to a temple. So you know the original temple, right? Only the Reform movement uses the word temple to describe their synagogue. If it's conservative or Orthodox, you will never hear that word. Why? Because the Holy Temple, which once existed, actually there were two of them, was, prior to the change in the way Judaism would be expressed. And there is a hope for some people that one day that Holy Temple will be reconstructed. And so you don't, in a traditional sense, call your home a temple, because that existed before. And maybe one day it will exist again. But what's important is to understand that God understood that the presence of the divine needed to be on earth. It just couldn't be in the heavens and far away. So the Mishkan is a container. It sets a boundary, which you saw with the walls, and it holds sacred space. So whenever we talk about creating a Mishkan, it's not necessarily that sanctuary, it's what we do together. Even as we are here together, studying, learning, we're creating a container together. It is a sacred space for learning. And we're learning God's words. We're learning that language that is expressed through Torah. It offers an opportunity to discover heart and soul in new ways. It offers an opportunity to create and express personal skill. It offers an opportunity to give freely and openly. It offers an opportunity for being comforted and held. The concept of the Mishkan is that something dwells there. And what we call that is Shekhinah. The presence of the female indwelling of God is in this world. And all of these things are what the Shekhinah represents, the heart and the soul, creating, personal skill, giving openly and freely, and being comforted, being held, and also giving comfort to others. So it says in Torah, male and female, he created them. And Kabbalah, which is a part of mysticism. Mysticism is the big category of which there are different kinds of mysticism. Kabbalah is the main kind for Judaism, and it believes in uniting the male and the female of God. So if you don't know this, Shabbat is all about bringing the male God who is far away together with the female part who is in this world and creating a couple. It's why we are told in our tradition that couples should make love on Friday night. They are reuniting the divine couple that is above, and it's what we do below. And there are different words. It was mentioned that I taught on the Sefirot, which is something some of you may not really understand, but in the mystical tradition, in Kabbalah, each one of us is a tree of life, and there are 10 places on our bodies that are expressions and emanations of divinity into the world. And this class is really not on mysticism or Kabbalah, but just so you know that there are 10 of these places. One is called Yesod, and this tends to be masculine. It means foundation and relationships. And one of them is called Tiferet, and that's masculine. And Malchut, which is Shekhinah, is feminine. And they come together. So to unify the celestial couple, Kadosh Baruch Hu is the masculine, Shekhinah is the feminine. Actions in this world, including lovemaking of couples, join the lower world, the people Israel, with the upper world. And we do it in many different ways. And through Torah study, through mitzvot, through our relationships, we actually have a way of making this a reality and making it happen. So I'm sharing this with you because you may not know this either. There is a passage in the 2nd chapter of Bereshit. That's the first book of Torah. And it says there that God formed the human being. Okay, took particles of dust, created the form of this human being, and then breathed into the nostrils the breath and spirit of God. And that's how we each get a little bit of divinity. God breathes into our nostrils. And one of the things that I teach is a breathing technique that is a triangle. It is part of the Star of David. And we breathe in, we then breathe out, and then we pause. So the Ruach Elohim, which comes from the Holy One, is a gift. We receive it. And then when we return and give it back, it is a gift that we give back to God. And as all of you know, one day it'll be our last breath. We just don't know when that'll happen. Open hands. May the divine presence dwell in the work of our hands. Well, we saw somebody who's sitting and working with her hands today. She's making a beautiful piece of art. Or you may be a dancer and your hands are moving right towards the heavens. But the divine is in the work of our hands, whatever that is, whether it's cooking, it's nurturing, it's touching, it's creating, it's building. The divine is present when you do that work with your hands. So we learn the word chokhmat lev, which means a wise heart. But in the Torah, what does that mean? A willing and giving heart. So it says in the Torah, every person as his heart urged him, needed to participate and give in the creation of that Mishkan. This is part of how it ties together. We had to help build it. Everybody there either gave a little donation or they gave the work of their hands. And the women were the ones who did the weavings. And that was part of their role. And being generous and giving from your heart is what the Torah tells us to do in Exodus when it came to building the Mishkan. It didn't just evolve. Moses was like the architect, and he had somebody named Bezalel help him, who was like an artist or the contractor. These people helped to make it happen, but they invited the people to participate. So they had an investment in the creation of this dwelling place that they could come to meet God. And the heart aligns with creation. It's actually, I'm missing a letter. It should say Nadiv Lev. This is this giving of the way the heart aligns with what is happening in creation in this world. It's what we try to do, on a daily basis, if we can, is to align our heart with the needs that are demanded of us in our families, in our communities, and in the world. This is part of what Shekhinah is. This is what Shekhinah does. This is one of my most favorite pictures. Shekhinah is inspiration. And sometimes we describe it as getting a kiss on the forehead. But this is a picture of the Shekhinah kissing the forehead of a human being. If you can think of that, if we kind of open ourselves up to an awareness of those moments when something happens that feels like a miracle or feels like, wow, I was in the right place at the right time, or somehow God set something in motion. This is Shekhinah kissing us. And this is the female inspiration. So God's spirit is recognized as the source of an artisan's skill, talent, and competence, which is what they needed to build the Mishkan. There is pride and concern associated with mastery in the art of embroidery, metalwork, jewelry, and wood carvings. So everything that we do that is creative and innovative is inspired by Shekhinah. One of the concepts in Judaism, especially to the Kabbalists, is called devekut. It is clinging or cleaving. There's the word cleaving, that the human being must cleave to the Holy One. And we do that in this world in so many different ways. But here you see Ruth, right, and Naomi. Just as they cleave to her all the time, so she cleaves to them. That her is Shekhinah. Shekhinah is present between these two women because of the love and devotion that they felt for each other and that they shared with each other. One who enters the divine must enter through the gate, and the gate is Shekhinah. So this is a picture of a gate. If you want to get close to God, you've got to go through the gate. And that can be imagined in so many different ways. See if I can get rid of that. And the gate is Shekhinah. She is that entrance. She is the place of contact, of moving us through one place to another. One of the things we know, too, is that Shekhinah, according to this, and I wanted to read this to you because I don't know if you are familiar with something. It is called the bedtime Shema. The bedtime Shema is something that we do every night. I want to read something to you. It's on page 295 in my prayer book. It is a ritual at night. And we do the Shema as well as some other prayers. But one of the things we do, which is so beautiful, and it's reflected here, you say it 3 times. B'Shem Adonai Elohei Yisrael, mimine Michael, umismoli Gavriel, umilfanai Uriel, umeacharei Raphael, v'al roshi Shechina El. So in the name of God, the God of Israel, may Michael be on my right, may Gavriel be on my left, may Uriel be in front, and may Raphael be in back. These are different angels that have different jobs, but above my head is the presence of the divine Shekhinah. So this is a picture of 4 angels, and if you can imagine for a moment going to sleep at night, having a bed that has 4 corners, and imagine in each corner, one of the angels is there. Michael is at the right, Gavriel is at the left, Uriel is in front, and Raphael behind. Michael, this is strength, this is presence, this is light, and this is healing. But most importantly, Vial Roshi, above the head, above my head is Shekhinah. Shekhinah is present with you every minute, morning, noon, and night. So this is actually a magnificent prayer that you would not be familiar with in a Reformed synagogue. Even not all conservatives do it. It is a text from the Zohar, and the Zohar is a mystical text that is commentary on Torah. So you know commentary because I know Rabbi Susan brings it to you from different people. The Zohar, which was written in the 13th century, is mystical commentary. It's way out there. It is unbelievable. Truly, I study Zohar, but it talks about Shekhinah a lot. So let me read this. The mystery of the Shabbat is the Shabbat herself. She, Shekhinah, is called Shabbat, for when she is united in the secret of the oneness, that she may immerse in the mystery of the one. That's the Holy One, Kadosh Baruch Hu, the masculine. This happens during the Marif service. So in the evening service on Friday, part of what we're doing in our prayers is bringing them together. For then she is the throne of Kavod. She is unified through the secret of oneness and becomes ready for the highest Holy One to descend upon her. They become united. So when Shabbat comes, she enters into union and sheds the side of the otherness. The Sitra Achra is the side of negativity. So she focuses on Shabbat, on the positivity. All judgment and harshness pass from her. She remains in union with the holy radiance. She crowns herself with the crowns of the faces of the Holy King. All the forces of anger and grievance just fly away. There is no power but she in all the worlds. Her face glows with heavenly light. She's crowned from below by the holy people who themselves are enwrapped and crowned with new supernal souls that come with us when we are in Shabbat. Then the prayers begin by blessing her with bliss, radiant faces, and everybody calls out, Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach, which is the beginning of the service. You've heard it, right? Baruch Hu et Adonai. You've probably heard it sung. And so when we're ready to call everyone together, she is now coming to meet her partner. So this is a drawing that I did. I'm trying to eventually turn it into something that could be framed and I could actually sell. This is Shekhinah. This is the female. And her name can be used for meditation, but these are the letters of her name. Shin, Chaf, Yud, Nun, and Hey. And there is an image of the male of Yud Hey Vav Hey, that lots of people have seen, but I decided we needed to have a female name that we could identify with, that we could incorporate in our identity, the shin being the head, the chaf, the shoulders, the arms, the yud, the centerpiece of our body, and then the nun coming down, joining with the hips, which is the hay, and the legs. So this is my image of Shekhinah, and this is the feminine indwelling. So this is a picture of just a beautiful image of the feminine female presence. And she is feminine, she is gracious, she is kind. Shekhinah feeds, she shelters, she heals, she carries, she accompanies us, she nurtures. She is considered to be the moon. She waxes and wanes. She embodies oral Torah, which is Talmud. And her mouth and her speech are essentially Shekhinah. She speaks, she teaches. She is a channel for blessing because that's what comes out of our mouth is blessing. She is the piece of Shabbat, the extra soul, which is called Neshama Yitera. She dwells inside of us, and she dwells around us, and she dwells among us. She is known for her wisdom, and the word Sophia, which you probably are aware of, means wisdom. But she knows and understands. She has intuition and inspiration. She is the indwelling of the Holy One. She is close, and we call her the immanent one. Her partner, Kadosh Baruch Hu, is far away, and we call him the transcendent one. But they are the divine couple together. They live above, and sometimes we experience them below. And this is an incredible idea that Kabbalah teaches, that what we do down here impacts the heavens, the divine couple, and God. Everything that we do here. She is the mother. She is a sister. She is queen. She is a princess. It says that she links the heavens and the earth. When we study Torah together, like we are, Shekhinah is present. We create her presence in our community. She creates the world and makes everything feel present for us. And the word hineni means I'm here. We feel her. When we have intimate and meaningful relationships with other people, we feel that something is present, and that is Shekhinah. She is love. She is marital bliss. She is making love. She is your soul. She is part of you. She is the life force that animates each one of us. She is inner creativity, spirituality. She is birthing, literally and figuratively, as I said before, giving birth even in old age. The Zohar, the book I told you about, says that the group of men who study together, who are spiritual companions, and they travel, they actually get to see the face of Shekhinah. She is hidden within them, and she's concealed, but they are revealed. So that was an experience of Shekhinah, who she is, and what that means for each one of us, because we are her in this world. We emanate Shekhinah with other people, in community, in our work, in our families. So I want to ask you if you would just close your eyes for a moment and just hold that image of Shekhinah, either the one, my drawing, where you have her name literally within you, or that last picture, anything you could connect with so you can feel Shekhinah's presence as part of you. She is the divine. She is your soul. She is your spark. She is your light. She is all of that. And we tap into her. And sometimes we lose touch with her when we grieve and when we're sad and things are difficult, but she accompanies us. She is with us in difficult times as well. So just if you can imagine and hold that image or what it feels like. What does it feel like to be Shekhinah, that indwelling presence of divinity in this world? Because each one of us is that. We carry it. We model it. We see it in each other's faces. When we read Proverbs 130, which is a woman of valor, she is that woman, the one who is light and care and love and nurturance, generosity, loving kindness. She is all of that. And the goal is to be in touch with it and be willing to share it, to identify it in other people, to recognize it, and to want to be with each other so she can be present, fully actualized. So with that, I'd like to, obviously we stop, I think, at 1 o'clock, but I'd like to give you an opportunity if you have something you'd like to share or say in response to what we've been doing. And if you have to leave, I understand. Does anybody want to, somebody want to share something or respond to what you've learned or what it means or how you relate to it? Bonnie?
Yeah. So I recently, a few months ago, became critically ill. And I am what they call a medical miracle. And listening to you, I had a major heart attack and I had 2 cardiac arrests and I was on life support for 6 days and they did not expect me to live at all. I was completely unresponsive. And one day I opened my eyes and started talking. So I've asked every rabbi, including Rabbi Leader, I had a Zoom meeting with him about this experience. And people just say, you're a miracle. It's a miracle. And there's no other explanation for it other than it was a miracle. Well, Dr. Rabbi Leader says I won the lottery, which I did. So I've been searching for an answer, some answer of why I was fortunate enough to survive this. And it's an amazing experience, and I wouldn't want to repeat it. But I feel so grateful and that your drawings and talking about this. I mean, I believe there's something else. There's somebody was watching over me. Somebody was sitting on my shoulder, whatever it was. I believe I experienced a miracle.
You experienced Shekhinah.
Right. I mean, that really, the drawings were very powerful. So thank you.
You're welcome. You know, the Talmud teaches that Shekhinah, when you're in the hospital, that Shekhinah rests above our heads. And we're told in the Talmud not to stand over a patient, sit next to them.
Really?
Yes. That's a teaching in the Talmud. So if you visit someone in the hospital, don't stand over them, pull up a chair, sit beside them. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.
That's right. It's powerful. They told my children I had a 1% chance of survival and to plan my funeral, which they were doing with my cantor and rabbi. There's no explanation, and I've stopped looking for one because I'm grateful every morning when I wake up that I'm still here and functioning. And so thank you for sharing that presentation.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, we
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing this. I think a lot of us have been through situations, not quite like Bonnie's, but
Thank God.
situations that have been, who knows where we would have ended up. And I think this just sort of makes us realize that there is something there that helps us get through things. So I just want to thank you. I have to leave.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you're welcome. You're very welcome.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, I know this ends at 1. Anybody else want to say something before we?
Sorry, I didn't mean to like give too much information. I mean, everybody knew I was sick, but
No, that's okay. No, you know what? It's really a gift when you share a story that people can really appreciate, you know, who you are, what you've been through. It just really creates a whole new aura of who you are to them, which is really important for people to know us and not feel frightened of sharing who we are and what we've been through. Because we all have our stories and our scars. That's the human experience. Yes, Helen. Oh, you gotta unmute. Yeah, still. You gotta click that microphone so it unmutes. You see it? If you click on it, it should go off. Oh dear.
Wait, how's that?
There you go. You did it.
So I know this sounds a bit corny, but on Friday nights when they do the Bowie Kala, I feel the Shekhinah. I feel it.
That's great. That's really, you know, the Kabbalists created that in the 16th century, and they went out in the fields, and that's what they did, you know, to go greet her. Because what I forgot to say is she comes as a bride, but she leaves as a queen. She's a bride and she leaves as a queen, and we greet her and welcome her. Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, I want to thank you for this opportunity. It was wonderful to be with you and to share this topic, which I hope really was unique and different. I know you've got lots of amazing things and amazing teachers in that synagogue.
Thank you. And this group of women are amazing.
Did you do a lot of those paintings?
No, I didn't do any of those. I just found them. I did the drawing of the female body with the name, and I have, you know, I didn't share. I didn't feel like I wanted to take time to share with you my art, my fabric art, but those were things that I searched for so they would exactly be able to express, you know, what I wanted to teach.
While you're speaking, and behind you is a painting, and it looks like you have a halo behind you. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Yes, a friend of mine painted this. She does mystical Kabbalistic paintings, and she gave me this, and neither of us noticed it until at some point someone else did say something, and it was like, she said, I didn't plan it that way, but it works.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Well, it was great to meet you, see you, and be well and have a great week. And
thank you.
Thank you.
Think about Shekhinah. Just think about her with you all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Hannah, are you still there?
I am.
Hi. Hello. I just wanted to be able to say hello and goodbye. And will you send me a copy? Because I know you recorded. Hannah? Hello. Okay, I guess we better leave so she can leave. See you later, Anne.
Yes, I remember you and Steve very well.
I'll tell him when I see him.
Thanks.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Thank you. It's
Bye.
wonderful.
Thank you.